Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary, a special traveling edition for me. Anyways, I'm going to be here in this location, which happens to be somewhere in Tennessee. I'm at a friend's house for a men's weekend, a retreat that's happening, and I'm so thrilled to be able to still be with you all this morning. I have the privilege to be talking to Carly, who is an early childhood educator, who is also, really taking steps to create her entrepreneur life and take things to a completely different level in her for her future and for her family. And so let's hear her story from her. Carly, welcome to the show. Hold, hold on a hold on a second. I can't for some reason. I
I
can't
can't
hear.
hear her either, Dave.
Yeah, Carly, did you change something? Do something with your audio? Okay, maybe log out and log back in for us. We suddenly just can't hear you anymore. And it's not a practice. This is not a joke. I'm not playing with you. Try to see if you could just log out and just totally X out of the screen and just come back in. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, just leave and come back in. Oh, you can't leave and come back. X out, leave, come back. There you go. All right, my friends, bear with us here. Yes, I have a background. I'm hanging out in Tennessee right here. You can see what a beautiful view that I get to enjoy this weekend, and I'm here with some of my best friends in the world in a men's group at a retreat that I've been a part of for 5 years, maybe 6 years by this time. Here's Carly. Let's see what we're dealing with now.
I
Hello.
can hear again.
Oh my gosh, we've got.
Wow, I'm
Let,
so sorry. That was so weird.
let there be sound. Let there be sound.
As
Right.
soon as it started, I was like, oh no.
Yes. Well, I know that I welcomed you on. You were saying a bunch of things. I wasn't able to hear what you were saying, and we weren't. So, hey,
Oh,
welcome to the show. How,
thank
how are
you.
you?
I'm
And
good. I'm just going to set my phone back up here. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're ready to roll now.
okay, you know what? I love this because we're live and people get to see that it doesn't have to be perfect.
No, it never is.
It never is, and you made a wonderful, a wonderful entrance into the show. I could tell you had lots of energy, but now
Oh
here
yeah.
we are back again for the second try, and it's
Yep,
just as good as if that first try never happened. So again, welcome.
exactly.
I'm so grateful to have you here and to talk to you today. And why don't you tell us, what led you to Legendary? Like, what were you looking for? Have you found it? And a little bit about your backstory that brought you to us.
Yeah. Okay. So I found Legendary last year at around the end of 2022. I was on my maternity leave with my second child.
Mm,
Me and my husband were really struggling financially. I'm in Canada, so my maternity leave here is you get 55% of your salary. So really not a lot. So we were really struggling. I was, putting I asked my mortgage company if they could halt my payments. I was considering consolidating my debt. Like it was really, really bad. So I turned to like the online space and I was researching different ways that, how can I make a sizable income from my house when I'm on maternity leave. And I went through some trial and error, trying other things that just didn't work out for me. And I had come across affiliate marketing a couple times and digital marketing, and I wasn't 100% sure what it was. And it kind of stayed in the back of my mind for a few months until the day that I discovered Legendary. And I was like this. I watched the intro video and I was like, I'm sold. I'm ready to learn.
mm,
And then I hopped into it, and honestly, my mind was blown. Like as I went through the training, I was hitting all these aha and light bulb moments, and I really felt connected to it. And I felt like this was something I could truly do and put my heart into.
Mm.
And that is what ultimately led me here to where I am today.
Wow. Wow. So you're an early childhood educator,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Tell us what do you normally do on a daily basis? What does your which I'm sure it's such an important job, and
Yeah.
it's also an honorable job. It's something to be proud of, and that you're making an impact in your community and in people's lives. So a lot of people might say, well, why would you not want to continue to do that for the rest of your life, right? Help
Yeah.
us connect the dots and understand what is driving you personally a little bit more.
Yeah, I have a lot of feelings about this actually. So, I've been an early childhood educator since 2017, which was when I graduated college.
Mm,
And I really, really did enjoy the job. I still really enjoy it. What really ultimately led me to not wanting to do that for the rest of my life anymore is actually when I had children. Because
mm,
when I had children, I was burnt out all the time because I was working with children all day and then coming home to more children, my
mm,
weekends, children. It was
mm.
like my whole life was children. And I love children, obviously. That's why I'm an early childhood educator. But I mean, you have children, Dave. You know, it's really mentally draining. So I found myself having like on the weekends having less patience, less motivation to like be with my kids. I was starting to be like really overstimulated around them. And there was a time where I ended up breaking down to my husband and I was like, I feel like I can't be the mom I want to be when I am so overstimulated by children all day. And I was just like, I really need a way out so I can be a better mother. And
Mm,
another point that I have on this is that early childhood educators are extremely important, but they are not nearly paid enough.
mm.
Um, I don't know what the pay is like there in the States, but here in Canada, it is garbage.
Yeah.
And for what we do, and I was like, this isn't, it just didn't feel worth my time and the drainage and the way that I was not being the best mom that I wanted to be. It just didn't feel worth it anymore.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. And I think that we all understand to a certain degree, not quite with the personal experience that you have. But I mean, one of my strongest beliefs is that our teachers, our frontline workers,
Hmm.
these people with these in these unbelievably important roles in our communities are not paid enough.
Yeah,
They should be paid like CEOs. They should be paid like executives. They should be the most important. They are the most important people in our communities. And even though I'm not a teacher in the public school system or the private, I'm a private educator, I guess, if you will. So
yeah,
clearly, I believe in education, and I think that when I see teachers coming in, I see nurses coming into our community, I get excited because I believe that whether they want to keep their jobs or not, that they now have an opportunity to be able to earn what they're worth, right?
exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, what were some of the things that were you used the word blowing your mind? I think what were some of the things that were creating these aha moments as you began to take our training in the beginning, and when exactly did you do that?
So I took the training in December of 2022. Actually,
Hmm,
no, November of 2022.
okay.
And I remember watching the first couple of days and realizing, because for the longest time for me, the only way that I could ever make money was through a regular 9 to 5 job that everyone has. So I was going through the training and I was listening to everything and it all made sense to me. Like I remember being like, oh, is that like what people are doing is like, when they have their like links for like
Hmm,
affiliate products and stuff. And I was like, is that what they've been doing this whole time? They're just not like, oh, here, I'm being so nice and giving you the link to this. I'm like, wait, is this how they've been living their life this whole time? All these like TikTok pages that I come across, like showing these cool products and stuff. I'm like, what? So like I was clearly in the dark. I had no idea what it was. So I was like, it all makes sense. And like, you know, like YouTubers and them too, putting the links in their bios. I'm like, everything makes sense to me now. And when like learning that, you know, regular people could do this too, like you don't have to be an influencer with hundreds
Right.
upon thousands of followers. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I could do that. And like, I remember going, it's so silly. I remember going through the training and just feeling so much like I feel like I could do this. I remember talking to my advisor and I was like, I am so motivated and so determined that I can do this. I am refusing to quit. And every day that I went by, like learning about how to build a sales funnel, learning about email autoresponders, like I didn't know what that was. I thought people were just always sending people emails every day. So learning about that, I was mind blown. I was like learning about all these back end systems that like fully autopilot people's businesses. And I was like, I thought this would be so hard, and learning how automated and easy it can be. My mind was like all the light bulbs. I
actually happen to have a pair of shades right here so I can do my demo, my example here.
yeah.
But as you go through, even beginning to go through our 15-day challenge, we present you with a pair of marketing shades,
Yeah.
which give you the ability to now see the world just exactly how you described it, at least the online space, right? Not
yes, the online space for sure.
but like the online space, to realize that, oh my gosh, you know, yeah, these people are not doing these things out of the goodness of their heart. They're not doing these things, you know, they're not doing these things just for their health. They're not doing
Yeah.
these things just because they want to create videos and put links down in the description on YouTube. They're doing it because there's a financial incentive behind it. And wait, that actually makes sense, because if they're delivering value on these platforms, and I'm wanting to watch, whether it's entertainment or education or a combination of that, we like to call edutainment.
Yeah.
If that's there, then they should get paid for it,
They
right?
should. Honestly, I think it's great.
Right? It's like getting paid what you're worth, right? It goes
Exactly.
back to that principle that we were just talking about. And so it feels empowering when you begin to see how that all works. And in social media, for me anyways, can go from something that is using me to now I'm using it, right?
Yeah,
What comes up for you when I say that? Does that resonate?
Oh, absolutely. Because I used to be such a doom scroller. And you know what? Honestly, I still kind of am sometimes when I'm not working on my business. But now I'm sitting there and I'm like, ooh, I have like an extra little bit of time. I'm going to work on like my email campaign, or I'm going to work on some content, anything like that. I'm like always like my mind is always there, and it gets me excited. I'm like, I'm excited to work on a business that I believe in and that I feel like is working for me, and I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So how are you right now? Are you still working in your role as a educator? Do you still have that job?
I do actually. I do still work my 9 to 5, which I actually get so many comments about where people are like, why do you still work that job? And like the truth is, I have this weird sense of comfortability where I get really attached to things and I have a hard time letting them go.
Yeah.
So right now I have a bit of a hard time letting my job go. And I think it has a lot to do with like the children themselves. Like as much as I'm overstimulated and burnt out, like I have very meaningful connections with those families and children. So I'm honestly just waiting for the right time for me to leave, essentially.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, not only from a comfortability standpoint for your own self and making sure that you're financially in a position that you can afford to go out on your own, but also the sense of responsibility and accountability you feel to the children that you're that you know that you're working with every day, that you're teaching. That makes perfect sense to me. That
Yeah.
makes total sense to me. And I love that you're taking your time and that you're doing that in your own time, despite what other people say, to
Yes.
or comments that you get. And so,
Yeah.
speaking of comments that you're getting and things that people are saying,
Hmm.
how are you dealing? How did you present that to husband? And how are you navigating family and friends as you're taking a pretty hard right turn into
Yes.
online entrepreneurship from early childhood education?
Yeah. Well, I remember when when I first started, I didn't tell anybody because I have, is so silly. I feel like I get in my own head a lot. So I didn't tell anyone at first because I was like, oh, well, like if I end up failing at it, like I don't want anyone to know that I failed, essentially. Is why I end up not telling people when I first start. So, and then when I like obviously because I implemented everything I learned in the challenge, I was seeing results and success because I followed it to a T. Um, so then I remember when I first told my friend about it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I made $20! Look how cool this is!" And she was kind of like, "Oh, like that's cool. Like, let me know when you make like 1,000 or something." And I was like, "Okay." um and now every time I see her and I tell her like how much I've made now, she's like, oh my god. And I'm like, yeah girl, like I started this less than a year ago. And my husband, he was definitely weirded out.
Oh, right. As he
he
should.
because But like I remember when I was on maternity leave, he was like, I think you should be a side hustle queen while I go to my 9 to 5 and I bring the steady income. So I'm like, look at me, I'm being your side hustle queen. I was like, I fulfilled your wish. You're welcome.
I love that. I love that. And
But
so,
no, he's like my friends and family have been really supportive since I've told them, and I told them like the success I've had. And I get so many people actually at my early childhood education job coming up to me now and being like, how do you do it? And I get really excited because then I'm there like explaining to them what I do and how I do it and where I learned and stuff, and they get really interested and really excited because they have also never heard of anything like it before. So I feel like I'm like now also teaching people about it in my real life, which I think is really exciting.
yeah. And do you see the connection there between educating in your current role and now educating and delivering value in the online world in just this different format?
I do, because I always tell people, I'm like, my background is in education. So something that I'm really passionate about and have a lot of like good feeling for is teaching people. It doesn't even like, obviously I teach children most of the time, but it doesn't even necessarily have to be children. I love telling people about new things, teaching them how it works. It's wired in my brain at this point because all I've done is education.
And I think we all do. There's a lot of people. We've got 415 people on the show right now, and
Yeah.
thousands more will listen to the replay. And many of them will go, "Well, hey, wait, I'm not an educator. How do I educate people?" And I think that we forget that we've been in the telling people about things that we love, helping people out our whole lives. For
Yeah.
example, if you go to a restaurant and you like it, what do? You tend to tell friends and family. If you experience something that was powerful, if you're going to a new church that you like,
Hmm.
if you started a new personal development journey, if you're on some sort of a health kick, or you're starting some sort of a diet, or you've started working out or exercising,
Yeah.
you found a gym that you like, or you found a trainer that you like, we have a natural inclination to want to share that. It's
Yes.
our it's the connection based part of us that's hardwired into us. And we just do that naturally without getting paid for it. And
Yeah.
so, whether you want to view, or if educating people is intimidating for you, that word is intimidating for anybody who's listening. It really just boils down to helping people, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And in doing that in the form of edutainment. So
Yes.
it's educating and entertaining, and you don't have to be a dry professor who's lecturing on social media. You
No.
can have fun, you can be yourself, you can intertwine your own personal stories and experiences into your content. And so tell us, how have you done that, and what has it been like for you to get on video and camera and create your first pieces of content? What's it been like for you to start putting yourself out there?
I remember when I first started and I made my first couple of videos, I was definitely really nervous because I am by nature a very introverted person. And even on my personals, I don't really post a whole lot about me. It's mostly my children. So putting myself on camera, I was definitely nervous at first, but I thought, if I want to get somewhere, I'm going to have to step out of my comfort zone like I am right now, doing something that's totally left field from what society wants you to do. So I remember feeling really nervous at first, but honestly, the more that I did it, the more comfortable I became. And I think you can see that in my content. Like if you were to scroll all the way to the bottom and
Mm,
look at my first couple pieces and then scroll
yeah.
back to what I'm doing now, I am a lot more open. I make really silly videos sometimes. I do like
Mm,
funny, weird little sketches where like I'm playing
mm.
two characters
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I feel like I can really be myself and like show my true self through my content now.
Mm,
And yeah, like for anyone who's watching, like the first couple weeks of videos are going to feel awkward, weird. You might feel like stiff and like kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing.
mm,
But as you keep doing it with any skill, with any skill, when you first start, you're kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try. And the more that you do it, the more you're going to get comfortable and be more confident while doing it. It's the
mm.
same with making content, in my opinion, and putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I agree, and there's really no shortcut to it, I mean,
No,
you gotta go through that uncomfortable, awkward phase. It's sort of
you
like,
do.
a baby, you're in a early childhood education, you see
Yeah.
lots of probably awkward young kids, and guess what? We were all that,
We were all awkward young
sometimes
kids. Yeah.
sometimes we try to, like, we don't make that association that we have all been new human beings on this earth,
Exactly.
and
Yep.
every other thing that we have done that are now good at, that is now second nature, was
Yep.
once uncomfortable. We were new at it,
Yes.
and we had to push through that newness. And
Yep.
so being somebody who's comfortable and probably fantastic at your job as an early childhood educator, what has it been like for you to be new at something? How have you embraced that you're not great at it right away? How have you found humility? How have you gotten comfortable being vulnerable to move to this place to where you're now able to be silly in videos? Was there
Yeah.
some mindset shifts that needed to take place?
Oh, absolutely. When I think back to how my mindset was when I first started to my mindset now, there is a huge shift. So my mindset when I first started was very nervous, unsure, very like wasn't sure how long I would be able to do this. And just very, it was very almost closed. It was kind of like a closed little mindset that was like kind of peeking open, like, okay, maybe I could try this. Whereas
Mm,
like now, like my mindset is totally open. I ended up finding a quote. I don't know exactly who it's by, but I tell it to so many people now. And it's something that I live by. Anytime I'm getting in my head, I just tell myself this quote. And it's, if you avoid failure, you avoid success. And that is really just a quote that I live by. And anytime anyone is talking to me and they're talking about their mindset of being like unsure or like
mm,
afraid of failure, I'm like, listen, there's this quote that I live by and I like tell it to myself every day. And that it's, if you fear failure, or if you avoid failure, you're going to avoid success, because there's not going to be any success unless you try.
yeah.
And that really helped shift my mindset to being like, you can be afraid of failure all you want, but nothing is going to change unless you do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's just to piggyback on that
Mhm.
those exact words, and that's a powerful quote, and that's something I'll take with me from this as well. Because you're right, uh, there is no success without failures at the beginning,
Yes,
and to take that a step further, there actually is no failure. There's only feedback. You know,
exactly.
there's only when I do something if I am not where I want to be, what I just tried, I can take something away from it.
Oh
For
yeah.
example, I've watched my daughter for the past couple of years dedicate herself to the craft of acro and ballet dancing.
Yeah.
And she's 7, you know? I mean,
Hmm.
she's she doesn't have all of the limiting beliefs that many adults have where
Yes.
you know, we get into the over analyzing, the perfectionism,
Yeah.
all of these different, things that hold us back. So I've watched her do cartwheels and different moves and different stretches and just
Yeah.
keep trying. And ever since she was 1, when she could kind of walk and actually, not even fully walk, she was still
Yeah.
wobbly walking. I used to take her over to this park by where we lived, and she would just kind of, she would just kind of, climb up something, but kind of fall, and I'd be right
Yeah.
there to kind of, I'd always hold her shirt in case she like
Yeah.
really fell off, and I would always whisper in her ear, "Keep trying,
Hmm.
keep trying,
I love that.
keep trying." That's all. I mean, amongst other things, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to say too many things to her
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
she doesn't need coaching. I mean, it's obvious what she's trying to do, right?
Yeah.
She just needed encouragement. She needed to know that there's only one thing to do in this moment, and
Hmm.
that's to keep trying.
Yes.
And it's such a simple thing. I hope to one day, I want to get it tattooed on me, but it's kind of a thing between her and I that maybe we'll figure out
Yeah.
some things to do with that phrase. I've also used it with my son. But you know, as we grow older, I feel like the world kind of, we either it gets us down or we allow it to get us down, and we forget that simple principle of just keeping
Yeah.
trying. We also forget how to be playful, and we
Yeah.
forget how to be creative and use our imagination,
Absolutely.
because that's not really particularly celebrated in a lot of different situations, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, we're not really open to your ideas. Just do your job. Just do what you're
Yeah.
told,
It's like
right?
we're kept in a little box that society wants you to be in.
Yeah. So as you've became more silly,
Yeah.
as you've became more playful, what has that told you or showed you about yourself? And how have you been reintroduced to Carly in a way that maybe you had forgot about, or maybe that you never knew existed?
It feels amazing because I feel like at first I felt like I could only show this like silly funny side of me with like my husband or my friends, and like but like when I'm out in public it's like, oh, don't be weird. So when I felt comfortable enough and I connected with my audience and my audience like enjoys it too, it felt really liberating. I felt like, oh, I can actually be myself in front of all these people, and people aren't going to like push me down. I mean, you have the odd couple of people who are like, this is silly, but I'm like, man, whatever, I don't care. This is me. So it's felt really liberating, and it's felt like I can, for me, like as Carly, I felt like I could really show my true colors and be my authentic self in front of people on social media, and having people accept that about me has like really felt good for someone who was like super self-conscious about everything. It's really just helped me. It's helped me, and it's helped my mental health. It's helped my mindset that people will accept me for me. Some people won't, and that's just life. And most people will. And I absolutely am grateful for that.
Yeah, and that hits home for me, like, being sort of judged for being
Hmm.
like entrepreneurial and
Yeah.
having ambition, right? And wanting to actually try new things. I can remember back 13 years ago when I kind of started this journey, and I had been
Yeah.
going in a few MLMs and stuff, and I can remember
Hmm.
presenting those to friends and family and just kind of getting like a lot of judgment, just kind of like,
Yes.
really, like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
is this a scam? Like, what
Oh my
like,
gosh. Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And as I got when I got tired of that, chasing
Mhm.
Uncle Bill and Aunt Bertha, around and trying to slam dunk grandma in an MLM or whatever,
Yeah.
I kind of went online to try to learn some marketing skills.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I need to figure out how to I need to figure out how to find some new people. I need to figure
Yeah.
out how to market to some dadgum strangers, for God's
Yeah.
sakes, and take a cold audience and warm them up.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I need to figure out how to become the hunted instead of the hunter, because
Yeah.
I'm becoming a MVP in the NFL, the No Friends Left Club,
Yeah.
and so I can remember beginning to also create content and put stuff out there back in when I started,
Yeah.
and being celebrated by complete strangers for
Mhm.
my passion, right? Even if I hadn't
Yes.
yet gotten comfortable for being like with being silly and like all the
Yeah.
kind of silly, crazy stuff I do now,
Yeah.
throwing hats, not worried about impressing anybody, just totally
Yeah.
being myself. But just my passion, like people finding that inspirational and people finding that valuable, total
Yes.
strangers. I was like, holy shit. I was like, okay. It gave me an incredible amount of confidence, and it
Yeah,
gave me
absolutely.
also built my self-esteem. I can really, really relate to that. Have you been shocked, overwhelmed? What has come up for you as people have begun to give you positive feedback and celebrate what you're doing and saying and being?
Oh yeah. Anytime I get a message or a comment that's like, thank you so much for like doing what you do, for helping us moms, for like I love your content. It's really inspirational. Like anytime I get a message or a comment or like that, makes me feel really good because these people are like thank these strangers, complete strangers, are thanking me for inspiring them, for teaching them, for delivering them valuable content that they feel like they can do it. And it does. It boosts my self-esteem and then it really gives me confidence because it just reiterates that I am delivering valuable content to them and I'm inspiring complete strangers from all over the world. As a mom in this small little town in Canada, I'm inspiring thousands of people, and it's a feeling like no other. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I never thought that I could make such connections with complete strangers and help them live their dreams. Like, it's insane to me.
And these are real people. I can remember the first time
Mhm.
that I went to an event, right, that I
Mhm.
was hosting back in 2012.
Yeah.
I hosted my first event, one of the core four business models that we teach here. And I walked into this room. There was 1,200 people in the dadgum room, and it was just unbelievable, real human beings. And they all knew my name. They all knew my face. They wanted to take a picture. They wanted to
Yeah.
talk. I was like, I was freaked out, let
Yeah.
alone any member of my family. I mean, it was unbelievable. And it's difficult sometimes for family and friends to see us in a different light than they've always
Yeah.
seen us. And so it really is, our job, not so much their job to have, support us and all this, have patience with us. It's really our job now that we have this information, and that to sort of be patient with them, friends
Yeah.
and family, and be like, yeah, this is new, this is different, like I'm developing credibility, I'm developing a little bit of micro fame here.
Yeah.
I've got people who are following me and subscribing to my email list and looking for my content every day,
Yeah.
and that might feel weird, that might feel threatening, that might feel, I mean, any feeling, whatever you're feeling is okay, but this is what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do it, regardless, because I feel passionate about this.
Yes.
And that oftentimes, as we push through some of those struggles and some of those challenges of dealing with friends, family, and
Yeah.
helping them through it, and also dealing with different challenges along the way, whether it be technical issues or
Yeah.
dealing with hate or harsh comments from people online, we
Yeah.
sort of get reintroduced to how strong we are. Have you also been built confidence from seeing yourself persevere through different challenges over the last 7 or 8 months?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've come across so many challenges where, either you get the hate comments. At first they really like stung my heart, and now I see them and I'm like, oh well, like it doesn't even really faze me anymore. I've had issues with, in the beginning, I was frustrated with setting up my email autoresponder because I didn't know what I was like. I felt overwhelmed and I was like, I couldn't get it to connect properly. And it was really a struggle. And I could have easily just been like, okay, I quit. But I was like, nope, we're persevering through this. Something I like to tell people a lot is that my first month doing this, I made absolutely no money at all. And I could have been like, oh, I did it for a month and didn't make anything. I guess I'll move on. But no, I was like, no, I'm going to keep going. And then my second month, it really took off. And there were so many times in my journey where, I could have taken the easy way out and said, well, it didn't work, or it's too hard. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to figure it out. But instead, I was like, my mindset was set. My mindset was, I'm going to do this no matter what, no matter the struggle, no matter the challenge, I'm going to persevere. And every single time I always have, anytime an issue arises, I'm like, let's fix it. And my mindset has really shifted to, I'm not just going to find one problem and find a million excuses to not try or to give up. I am just going to figure out the problem, even if it takes a couple days, and I'm going to push through and we're going to keep going. And that's what I tell myself all the time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'm only assuming here, you correct me, that that's different maybe than how you handled some challenges in the past where
Yes.
maybe you wouldn't push through them. Am I right with that?
Yes, I was very much someone who would either find 100 excuses not to do it,
Mm,
no matter what it was, or I would be someone where if it didn't work out the first time, or I tried to learn something and I was confused, I would just be like, it's not for me, and
mm.
not even give it a fair shot. It was definitely me in the past. I was such a self-sabotager.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
That's really, really vulnerable and honest. And it's so important to hear that
Yeah.
because, sometimes if somebody's brand new listening to this, they might think, well, maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe she was born with it, right? And it's
Definitely
like,
not.
no, I mean, so many of us, when we started, or because of how we were raised, or just, and it doesn't have
Mhm.
anything to do with our parents, it's just society.
Yeah.
Society really, it really acknowledges and it really celebrates, like being helpless. It
Yes.
creates learned helplessness in
Yeah.
many ways. And this is the opposite of that. And so a lot of times when people come into our community and start going through our challenge and so forth, they are looking for, that hand holding,
Yeah.
right? That direction, that person to be there to tell them exactly what to do,
Yes.
and either figure it out for them or help them figure it out, instead of realizing that every problem is actually figure outable. And as an entrepreneur, it is your job, especially as the owner of your business, the
Yeah.
CEO of your company.
Mhm.
Even if your company starts out with just one person, the
Yeah.
buck stops with you. It's on you. And that's actually not a problem. That's a challenge to be celebrated
Yeah.
because you have the power to change something. And so that learned helplessness and that victim stancing can be
Yeah.
turned into personal responsibility and
Yes.
accountability to yourself, and not
Absolutely.
particularly your boss or your guru, which is one of the reasons why I don't like to try to insert myself into our community as the omnipotent, all-knowing guru who should be prayed
Yes.
to and worshipped, right? Because
Yeah.
I can be struggling with a challenge and a problem at any time, just like anybody else. I can
Yeah.
have limiting beliefs that can creep in. And I have developed a network specifically of my audience and my clients who I'm accountable to figure things out and solve problems so we can keep going. And
Yes.
so have you become accountable and developed that sense of accountability to your audience now and to your clients to continue to show up and to figure things out versus needing to be pushed by a boss or held accountable by somebody else?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The amount of people who ask me like advice or questions, and I am more than happy to help them. Um, Sometimes if I don't know the answer, I will be honest with them. I'll be like, I honestly am not 100% sure, but if
Mm,
you want to reach out to, whatever company they're dealing with, their support email, I provide that for them. And I'm like, they could probably give you more information.
mm,
So anytime like I have people asking me questions, if I know the answer, I will for sure help them because I create this connection with my audience. We have I try to build as much trust with them as I can so that they feel comfortable enough to come to me with questions and know that I'm going to do my best to help them. And sometimes I am honest and I'm like, I don't know. So you may have to, take that step and try to figure it out. But I will
mm.
do my very, very best to help you out for sure.
I love that. I love that, and I love being honest with clients and with people who are in your audience. You
Yes. I
know,
don't want them to think that I'm in this all knower and I know absolutely everything. So when they ask something and I'm not sure, I'm like, I'm not 100% sure. Let me either find you someone who does, or let me do some more research on it and I'll get back to you. Or maybe I'll give you the resources for you to research about it. I just don't want my audience thinking that I know everything because I definitely don't.
or that,
I'm
or that I,
continuously.
or that I think I'm better than, or that I think
Yeah.
I'm at a certain point where they're not, and maybe they can get to it one day if they do a certain amount of things or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Um, I, I, this is bringing up a lot of powerful thoughts for me about the lessons that I've learned over the years about also, even if I'm an educator, even if I
Hmm.
am in a position of authority or, I have a role where I'm the one who's doing the teaching or the
Yeah.
facilitating, it's also important not to be the one who answers every question and is there to solve every problem for every person, because especially in the school of hard knocks and entrepreneurship, which is what we are all about,
Yeah.
as you probably know with your children who you teach and facilitate their
Yes.
education, it is one of the most disempowering things you can do for somebody is
Hmm.
to solve their problems for them,
Oh, yeah.
right? When they have
Yeah.
a question or a problem that is figure outable, um, for them to present that to you and you to say, yeah, let me take that on and let me solve that for you, or let me give you a definitive answer,
Hmm.
right? I think recovery taught me this, and I've shared this quite often over the years, um, is that, there's a saying in recovery circles called sharing your experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah.
Not I'm sharing my all-knowing end
And
of the road, all being answers. I'm not sharing my solutions and my wisdom and my, again, I'm not sharing the way that it is.
yeah.
I'm just sharing my experience, my strength, my hope for you. And with that, and also with the frameworks and the curriculum or the education that we have here,
Yeah.
um, you can take that and make it your own,
Oh,
and you
absolutely.
can
Yeah.
embrace your own journey, and you can
Hmm.
embrace your own story, and you can
Yes.
learn that you can make this stuff your own,
Yes.
right?
I tell a lot of the people who message me or leave comments, I always tell them, this is my experience, but everyone's journey is different
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's no definitive answer for sure. I'm like, everyone's journey is different. No two journeys are going to be exactly parallel, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, and that's a beautiful thing to share with people because we can so often get into comparisonitis,
Yes.
right? And did you deal with that? Did you battle with that a little bit at the beginning? And if
I def
so,
yeah.
how did you break free from it?
I definitely did battle with that at the beginning where I, would see people who started doing this around the same time as me, maybe like be farther than me, and me wondering like, oh, like I would always be like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And that was my beginning mindset, was like,
Yeah,
how come they can do it and I'm not? But then my mind, of course, my as I went on through my journey, my mind shift was changing, my mindset was changing, and I realized everyone's journey is different. Just because me and someone else, started doing this at the same time doesn't mean we're going to have the exact same parallel journey.
yeah,
Someone might get there faster, someone might take a bit longer, and I've come to the point now where I'm like, that is completely fine with me.
mm,
Um,
I love that.
that and then I've stopped comparing myself to people, because I'm my own person. I'm not them, they're not me. So we're not going to maybe connect with the same kind of people. We're not going to attract the same type of people. Um, and yeah, that's so it's my mindset has definitely changed, where I am no longer feeling like I need to compare myself to people, because I feel confident in my own business, in my own self, that I'm completely happy with where I am.
Yeah, I love that. And I love also just embracing your own timeline.
Yes.
Because things are not only not going to ever happen the same for every
No.
single person. Like you could put out the identical, you could copy another entrepreneur or marketer's exact everything, and it's
Yeah.
still not going to happen the same.
No.
And you can see that in your own marketing when you may have two different accounts, or you may post the same
Hmm.
piece of content one time and then post it again later on, and it gets a totally
Yes.
different result, right? And so not
Exactly.
only embracing your own style, but also embracing your own timeline, that certain results
Hmm.
are going to happen for you, and that is good, or in certain milestones are going to be
Yeah.
achieved in completely different timelines,
Oh,
and that's okay,
absolutely. And
right?
I can even see it through my own accounts. Like, I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. My Facebook is leaps and bounds ahead of my TikTok. It's
Mm,
the same exact content,
right, right.
but it's you if you're on different social media platforms, you're going to see a difference just with yourself on all three of these platforms, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so, God, this has been just wonderful. You're full of light and wonderful energy, and even if you were having a bad day and you were feeling sad and depressed, that would be wonderful as well, because that's exactly who you are today. And the beautiful thing about this is that we can show up and we can just we don't have to put on a facade. uh,
yeah.
People appreciate that, and they want to buy and learn from people who are relatable and who
Yes.
are real human beings. And are you surprised by the fact that people are so attracted to the just real, like that you don't need to present with fully made up with
Yeah.
professional clothes on and with all done up. And I mean, for me, when I started, I thought I needed to, of course, be showered, which I rarely
Yeah.
ever do before I go live, because who's going to smell me anyways.
No,
But
exactly. Who
um,
cares?
I had to have a certain part in my hair, and it had to be on a certain side, and I have to have a certain collared shirt, and I had to be
Yeah.
sit in a certain way and have a certain camera and a certain microphone and all these different things. And have you been surprised pleasantly by the way that you can just show up on your phone,
Yeah.
um, without filters,
Yes.
and without needing your home to be completely clean and to be in your Sunday's best, and just deliver what you have to say, and
Yeah.
it be received so well?
Yeah, on it. Yeah, for most of my content, And when I like post videos or anything, I am in my classic black t-shirt that I just wear all the time because it's what I love the best. And like my hair is always back. And I've actually had a few people comment literally saying, I love how you look like a regular person, like you look like a regular mom, like you're not done up. I love that your hair is back. I love that you just wear regular clothes. And I'm like, it's kind of weird that like that's what people are like, wow, I'm so glad that you look what they say, quote unquote, like normal. I'm like, oh, this is just my everyday getup. Like,
Yeah. And it's nice to be
but I love it. I love that people are like, I love that you just wear basic clothing and you look, you know, basic. I'm like, yeah, that's just how I am every day. I don't feel the need to like pretend that I do my hair and makeup every day and I own the most amazing clothing ever. I'm like, I'm being myself. I'm being authentic. So I'm going to show up as my authentic self, which is my hair is back and I'm in my black t-shirt and leggings. And that is how I live my life.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Minus the leggings, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Minus the leggings, but I'm in a just the same kind of getup. And as I've shared many times before, I usually just kind of look around the house and try to grab a shirt that doesn't
Oh
look too
yeah.
dirty.
I've
And
definitely noticed sometimes in the background of my videos, there'll be like kids' toys sprawled out, but I'm like, but I share in my content all the time that I'm a mom. So I'm like, it's
right.
this, I'm not going to clean my house like to perfection just so
That
like,
is
just so internet strangers will accept me. Like,
totally. Exactly. It's like impressing people who, it's like that's not what this is about. And
no.
2023 marketing is embracing that from all aspects as well. Major marketing agencies,
Mm-hmm.
huge companies, Fortune 500 companies are now, running ads that you see on TV and different streaming services and internet places, sites where they're trying to make it look more authentic, like
Yeah.
they're trying to make it look more low
Like
production,
normal,
like
quote
normal.
unquote. Yeah.
Right. Because I think society is so sick of the smoke and mirrors, of
Yes.
the flash and trash, the presentation. When you just know that that is just that is an actor's set.
Yes.
That is a completely staged scene.
Yeah.
And we are all, I think, as a society, have moved past staged scenes
Yeah.
and no longer want to see them. We are all, and if you want proof of this, it would be right in the fact that commercials are no longer something that anybody wants to watch,
No.
which is why, if most of you notice when you sit down to actually watch cable TV and a commercial comes up, it's like offensive. It's like, what is this? I don't
Oh,
have time for this,
commercial.
right? It's like commercials, ew,
Yeah.
anything that feels staged and anything that feels like too professional or too like scripted, um, people have a big resistance to. And whereas like what we've done and what we do here for nearly 800 episodes now,
Yeah.
well over 700, is just kind of jump on like we did today, just start talking. Maybe the audio doesn't work, you got to log off, you got to log back in.
Yeah. Maybe
and
we have some
and
technical issues.
and people are like, well, hell, I mean, whether I like what they're saying or not, at
Yeah.
least they're being real. And at
Yeah.
least I know it's their truth, because you're live and you can't
You can't predict anything.
edit it. Yeah. Well, this has been just absolutely wonderful, and I'm fired up and inspired for the day. Leave us with the advice that you would give yourself, with all of the knowledge and information and experience that you have now,
Yeah.
that you maybe would have liked to or needed to hear when you first got started.
All right. Well, for me, if I could talk to myself when I first started, I would say be your authentic self. Don't try to mirror other people. Don't try to pretend that you're someone you're not. Show up as your true authentic self. Even if you don't think anyone's going to like you, trust me, there are people who are going to connect with you and be inspired by you just for being your authentic self. They're going to relate to you. Be relatable, share your true story, and just be yourself.
Mm. I love that. I love that. And the quicker you do that, not only the likely more others will resonate, but also the
Yeah,
more that you will start to feel more comfortable in your own skin doing this. And I
exactly.
think,
You don't want to be making a business pretending that you're something you're not. So
yeah,
be yourself.
I think that's where burnout and that's where frustration and that's where lack of fulfillment comes, right?
Yeah,
Because we
absolutely.
feel like there's a disconnection between who we are and who we're being when we're doing our work.
Yeah.
And so, well, thank you also for your service to our kids here, of
Thank
course, up
you.
there in Canada. But I mean, every teacher deserves to be thanked, just like we thank our military people. Honestly, in my opinion, thank you for your service
Thank you.
to the most important people in our community, which is our kids. And stay legendary, my friend. Come back and
Thank
see
you.
me and keep us posted on your journey. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
You're so welcome, Carly. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, my friends, you can go and follow Carly I'm going to give you her Instagram handle at boss.from.home.mama. Over on TikTok, she is marketing with Carly. Okay. And that's spelled Carley. Okay. Marketing with Carly over on TikTok. And then I'll put her Instagram handle back up here. My friends, it's Friday. What a wonderful way to end the week and to move into the weekend. As always, we have all of these episodes that are accessible and downloadable. And even today's episode will be immediately up on the major podcast platforms. You can rewatch, re-listen to them right here on Facebook. It'll be immediately available as soon as we finish. We also go ahead and upload those to YouTube. So no matter where you're at, if you're going through our 15-day challenge and you're sort of eating what I like to call our appetizer to see if you want to stay for dinner, or if you're going to go ahead and stay for the main course and maybe enroll in the blueprints, regardless of what you're doing, there's nearly 800 episodes of Wake Up Legendary with amazing stories and interviews with real people. This morning was an amazing example of that. And you can learn so much from these stories of hearing others, as I said before, experience strength and hope. I don't usually use that phrase here because that's more of a recovery phrase, but it really is true and it fits here really well. If you want to make sure that you get notifications whenever we go live, then just text the letters WUL to 813-296-8553. It's WUL, stands for Wake Up Legendary, to 813-296-8553. Have a fantastic Friday and a wonderful weekend. Stay legendary, my friends. Get out of here. And we'll see you back here Monday for another episode. Peace.